No, I was asked to join them. I'd become quite well known, not well known, but I was sort of well known in London, and they had a new producer who came in to take over Tiswas, and he looked at it and he said, this is ridiculous. It's just far too male oriented. You know, the boys were badly behaved, still are probably. And, you know, we need a female presence in here. And he knew what I was doing down in London. So this Glyn Edwards, this was the producer. And so he asked me if I would go up and meet the lads. And they asked me to join, basically.
So my understanding was, or I had read that, as you say, it was very much an all-boys club at that point before you joined. But I'd read, or it had been suggested that Chris hadn't been happy about the introduction of a female to the team. Is that true?
Oh yeah, he was well against it. He sort of said, what do we want a girl up here for? That'll ruin all the fun. And he was against it. But I mean, Chris is a great guy, and him and I got on like a house on fire. And so I met them, and I sort of walked up and met them all, and I thought, oh my God, this is completely different to what I've been doing. You know, it was completely mad and wild, and nothing lasted longer than 3 minutes, and they were all sort of off the scale of madness, but all lovely people. And he sort of begrudgingly agreed to Glyn to say, no, we are having a girl in here, and it's Sally, and that's it. And then, as I say, we actually got on very well, and it all worked out fine. And I kind of then sort of ended up, I mean, obviously you already know with Tiswas how mad, and when we say it was unscripted, but we did have certain things and certain timings that we had to stick to, like commercial breaks and things like that. I was very much the one kind of keeping the boys in check, you know, and Chris would be forever saying, Jamesy, what on earth happens next? And I would sort of be doing all that and kind of trying to rein them in a bit. But they were great days. I mean, great fun. I you know, it's incredible that all these hundreds of years later, you know, people still want to hear about it.
You mentioned, I mean, as you say, that Chris was very much against the introduction of female to the team. Did that make for an awkward atmosphere for a period of time, or was that
No, not at all, not at all. He knew that I was going there. We got on well, and you know, it was all fine. It was absolutely fine. I didn't feel any hostility or anything whatsoever. I didn't even realize that he didn't want a female until I'd been there a while. So no, they made me very, very welcome. They really looked after me. They were like my big brothers.
So how did you find out that Chris was not too open to the idea of a female on the team?
I think he must have told somebody. He must have told me. You know, it's very hard for me to remember every single detail from so many years ago. But I think he did tell me at some point. You know, I really didn't think this was going to be a good idea, and I'm glad it's worked out. It's something like that.